Hey guys, Ash von Chamier, owner of Rough Cut Productions in Tallahassee, Florida. Welcome back to another little tidbit of information where I will take you through the concept of proxies. And if you've heard of it and you've just been intimidated to do it, then get over it. And if you don't know what it is, let me give you a breakdown, because it has gotten so easy to use these things nowadays with how Adobe Premiere has implemented it. I'm assuming that it can be as simple in other programs, but to be 100% honest, I don't know. I'm only in Adobe Premiere, but they have made it very easy. So a proxy is what is going to enable you to edit way more than your computer is capable of, all right? A proxy is basically just a very small, lower resolution version at a lower bit rate per second than what you filmed it at. So regardless if you're filming in a compressed codec like AVC HD or just a .mov file off of a Canon, or if you filmed in DNxHR or ProRes, bigger codecs, or even especially if you filmed in RAW, no matter what the codec, it's great to create proxies for a much snappier, faster editing experience where you can intuitively just bounce around through your edit and it doesn't push really any computer very hard for the most part. So how do you create a proxy? Well, let me take you into Adobe Premiere and just show you real quick. It is actually very easy, and here we go.
In a world where nuclear war has begun, vampires fought back in super real 3D.
All right, guys, we are inside of Adobe Premiere. That is the software that I like to use for all of my editing. And what we're going to do here is, this is a completely blank project. We are going to import a couple of clips and we're going to turn them into proxies. So we'll go ahead and just create a folder here called footage. That'll work. And then inside of here we'll let's import maybe an A7S clip. So I'll make a folder for that, and then a red clip. And I'll make a folder for that. So let's open up the A7S. I'm just double tapping inside of each window to import. That's the way I like to import. Always done it this way, where I grab the clips just manually and drag and drop them in. That's just the way I like to do it, so that's how I do it. We've got a red clip here. All right, this is for Defy the Tyrant. That's a music video I am working on now. And then we'll get oh, that was a red clip. Let's drag it into the red folder. Now let's get an A7S clip. We'll bounce back over here. Here's A7S. I also filmed with A7S for this. And we'll just grab a random clip here. Now this was not filmed internally. This was ProRes HQ filmed into an external recorder, the Odyssey 7Q Plus, which really makes the A7S so much more powerful. It is ridiculous. It's the only reason that I haven't upgraded to one of the newer Sony cameras like the A7S II or A7 III, because really, as long as you're okay using the external recorder, which is a great monitor and reference, the quality of the footage is amazing. I'd be very surprised if even the A7S III, when it comes out, if the internal codec can compete with the ProRes HQ that I'm getting. But that'd be awesome if it does. I'm keeping my eye on it just in case. Anyway, that was a tangent, sorry. We got these two clips here. I'm going to go ahead and grab both of them. Actually, let's just bring in, what I like to do is grab the biggest one, drag and drop that into the timeline. That way this is going to be a 6K video window, and then I'll grab the 4K ProRes over here, which happens to be pretty much a ridiculously short accidental clip. Let's get a different clip just for the googles of it. Just something a little bit longer. Just something a little bit longer, so that way it's a little bit more relevant. Let's see, that's better. There's a whole take of a song right there. Okay, cool. So we got our 4K clip, and you can see how much bigger that 6K window is. Isn't that amazing? This is 4K in here, and that's how much bigger 6K is, which is just something kind of interesting and one of the fun things about having a 6K clip. Anyway, now here's the deal. Let's go ahead and create proxies. This is how easy it is, guys. All you have to do is just grab your clips over here. You can hold down Control, and you can select more than one at a time. And then we're going to right click, and we're going to choose Proxy. Boom, right there, create proxies. And here you can choose what codec you want. I go with H.264. You can use QuickTime, whatever works for your workflow, doesn't really matter. And as far as the resolution goes, 720 works for me. That's plenty low enough for me. I just go right in the middle there with the 720 and I'm happy with that. And then you want to choose where to put it. Now this is a tip that I highly recommend in any project that you're doing. Create in your footage folder where you've got all your footage clips for your project, create a folder just called Proxies. Like one master folder in there that's just called Proxies. So you can see I've already done this for Defy the Tyrants video, but in this case, for this episode here, I'll just make a proxy folder inside of my vlog folder. So I just hop over here and I could go to footage and I'll just create a proxy folder, new folder, Proxies. Now the reason for doing this is naturally it's gonna, you can put it wherever you want to, but if you put all the clips, all the proxy clips into one proxy folder for the whole project, even if you filmed across multiple days and multiple shoots, if you put it all into one folder, then you can just take that small, tiny proxy folder and the Premiere project file, and you can go on another computer. That's like all you need. You just need those two things. And the proxy folder is going to be so much smaller, it's ridiculous. So we have created a proxy folder here, and I'm just going to select that, and I'm going to hit OK. And what it's going to do now is it's going to open up Media Encoder, and it's going to start making proxies. And the beautiful thing about it is it's automatically going to sync those proxies up to the clips that are inside of the Premiere project. You do not have to like go treasure hunting for anything. It's just going to sync it right in the project. Okay, so there we go. Now Media Encoder is open and it is creating proxies. Look, we can just see it streaming down here, and we see what it's working on up here. And this can be happening in the background. If your computer is powerful enough, you can continue editing while it's doing this, but maybe it's not. Maybe you have to hold out and wait for these proxies to get made, so go grab a bite to eat, whatever. It just depends on how fast your computer is. And as it makes them, it's automatically going to attach them, but what's going to happen is like you may want to know for sure that that proxy is attached. I like to know this, and so what I do is you can double click at the top of any window that's going to full screen it. So we're going to go to our project folder here inside of our Premiere project, and I'm going to double click at the top here, and look, it full screened it, and what we can now see is all the metadata display across the whole board. But we don't see anything for proxies, and we want to. So that's easy. All you have to do is just right click in this bar and you'll see this option appear for metadata display. And in here you can choose things that you want the information of, and you can just do a quick search for proxy, and then look, it's right here. It's this bottom one, proxy. And you just select that and hit OK. And then look, now we have a proxy tab, and you can even furthermore take this, click and drag it, and rearrange it where you want it to be. I like to put it right next to the frame rate. So that way, whenever I shrink, I also like to see my resolution. I want this closer over here. So I like resolution, proxy, and frame rate. Those are the main things that I like to see. And if I double click this again, it's going to minimize it to where I had placed it before for the way I like to set up my project. And look, even though it's a smaller window, I can still see the information that I want to see. The resolution, the proxy is offline, and the frame rate. Now the only reason it's offline is because it's still making the proxy in the background. We can open up Media Encoder over here, and it's about to be done with the first clip here. We can see it approaching the finish line, and once it does, we're going to see this change over here from going to offline to attached. All right, those are done. Now it's making the third one, and look, boom, attached, attached. So those two are done. Now it's working on the red clip, and I want to show you something else. So this button right here will toggle the proxies being on or off, which is fantastic. I mean, because sometimes you need the proxies to be off so you can see the exact proportion of your image. Sometimes when you're making these proxies, it might kind of morph or stretch the size a little bit because it wasn't the native resolution. Just depends on what resolution you actually started filming at. But the nice thing with this is, or you might want to test out a color grade through your project, and you don't really want to be testing your color grade on the proxies. That's absolutely, when it comes to color grading, you want to be color grading your actual real files. You don't want to be color grading the proxies. So you can toggle this on and off though for performance or whatever you need to do, and you can add this button so easily. All you do is you go over here to this plus button here in your video window, you hit plus, and you can drag and drop in any button that you want. So I just literally clicked and dragged this and put it down here. Now I'm not going to do this just because I already have it. Well, I'll just put it there, whatever. You see it's already there. And if you hit OK, then it's going to leave it there. So that is a magnificent feature that makes working with Proxies so easy. We're almost done with our file over here. We'll just look over at Media Encoder. As it approaches the finish line, we're going to see over here, this will go from offline to attached. And then we will have our proxies in place. And I'll show you what I mean about the different proportion size that can throw you off a little bit, and why you might need to toggle that proxy on and off if you're doing framing or you're trying to crop in a proper way. You want to know the exact size. So there it is, it's attached. We've got our red file attached, and this should look different. Oh, our proxies are off. Duh. All right, we're going to turn our proxy on. Watch. Boom. See, that's the proxy. That's the 720. See, red 6K file is a 6144 by 3160. That is just a different file size that doesn't shrink down exactly proportionally to the 720 proxy that we made. But you can see that it's plenty fine to edit. Look at that. That looks totally fine to make decisions on your edit on which shots to go with. And then you can turn this off. Boom. Then I'm back to the natural image that's going to be way more flexible when I want to color grade it and look better as I crop in more and more on shots and etc. So that's it, guys. You can toggle the proxy on and off that way. You can see that it's attached up here, or if for whatever reason it's offline, so you know that you've got everything synced up, and you will have a much faster editing experience, and you'll go a lot farther with a cheaper computer. And that way, at the end of the day, all you have to worry about with your edit is just when you come into the color grade and exporting the file. And that, if for whatever reason your computer cannot handle what you've done to your project and it won't export it properly, I really recommend just trying to export it in small chunks. Sometimes even I've had a computer before where what it made the difference to actually just cut, it was a pain in the butt, but you just cut 30-second increments and put them in their own timelines. So it's just these small timelines that you can export. Now, I don't know if that's still the case. It might have been an older version of Premiere and where I was at with my computer, but that is a thing to try if you're having that much issue exporting. You can just export it in little 30-second chunks, and if it comes down to it, even take those 30-second clips that you're trying to export, just cut them, copy paste them into a new timeline, and that way that timeline has only got that 30 seconds. And then at the end, you've got all these video clips of 30 seconds, and you stitch it back together, and then you'll be able to export that just fine, because all those are video files. There's no effects on them at that point, and you've done a workaround. So that's another little tip and way to go. So guys, enjoy Proxies. It's amazing. It's the shiznit. So anyway, if you enjoyed that, please hit the subscribe button or give me a like, or if you really like it, you can hit the notification bell, which is awesome, and then you'll know every week when a new episode's out, which is going to be every Thursday, but there will be more than one a week in most cases. So take care, guys, and I will see you on the next episode.
Movie Voice.